I have a confession to make. I make some pretty ugly bends. Let's do something about that. Hello! On this episode of spending an entire weekend making something that I can get for under $50, we're making a bending brake for my bench vise. So it's easier to see here, we're building the entire thing basically out of this 1" by 1/4 flat bar, which we just have these 3 pieces for the main plates, and then the clamping plates are also going to be that with a little bevel cut into them. We'll have a piece of hardened steel for the actual bending die. This side is going to be made out of this 1" by 1" square stock, and we're going to have to cut a bevel down the middle of it at a 45-degree angle without a mill. So that'll be an adventure. So let's cut some pieces. That's it. That is all the parts we need for this build. I figure let's start with the most difficult part. You can see on my drawing there's a little bit of relief in the middle here. We're gonna try and bore that on the lathe. So I've got my piece of stock centered in the chuck. I faced it pretty poorly. Now I gotta bore it. But I don't know if I have a long enough and thin enough drill bit. Luckily, I've got this stack of user's manuals. That should do the trick. Warning. Persons with pacemakers should not weld, cut, or be in the welding area. You're not going to believe me, but we made it all the way through without breaking a bit. Well, that probably used up all our good luck for the day. I've come in and marked it as accurately as possible with a Sharpie on each side. And now comes the hour of grinding. Definitely still a little bit ugly, but I kind of polished it on the inside with a flat disc. I had to add some weld on this side and grind it down just to build it up, but I think this will work all right. And now we can start putting together everything else. Before I start drilling the holes for the clamp, I'm gonna just weld all these plates together so I know they're all gonna be perfectly aligned, and then I can just grind the welds off when I'm done. Oh man, the camera was way too close for that. Whew! So I got these little drill tap things off of Amazon. We're gonna give them a whack. This might be a horrible idea. Ah, fuck! Look at that, that is pretty good alignment. So now we can go ahead and put a bevel on our tool steel. Got our bevel cut. Now it's fun time. So this is some A2 tool steel, which I chose because I had it left over from another project, no other reason. In order to harden this, I need to bring it up to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit, which I'll do in the foundry. And looking at a color scale, that will be when it's glowing bright yellowish orange. And then with A2 tool steel, you don't quench this in oil, so you're not going to get a fun, exciting column of flames from me today. So I'll just leave it hanging in still air until it comes down to room temperature. And then in order to temper it, I just need to bring it up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 4 hours, which I can just do in the oven. All right, it's all hooked up. We got it hooked up to propane on one side, and then we have the other side duct taped to a shop vac. There we go. Not quite enough air. Look at that. Don't drop it. Alrighty, it's nice and cool to the touch. Let's go get this thing tempered. Oh, how convenient, the oven's already preheated. Won't be needing those anymore. So now we just gotta leave that in there for 5 hours. Alright, it's that time. Nice, just surrounded by cookie char. Okay, let's let this thing cool off again, and then we can get the whole thing put together. It's still a little on the warm side, but I'm getting impatient. So I have this thing clamped in pretty hard between this plate and this plate, and hopefully that will keep it all from warping upwards. So the last thing we got to do is get a couple of these neodymium magnets set into the back of each piece. Alright, let's give it a test. So they snap right on there with the magnets. This guy is gonna need a couple more magnets. It's kind of cantilevers over, but I'm out of magnets, so this will do for now. The first test, a piece of 16 gauge. You already know how this is gonna go because I wouldn't post a video if it couldn't bend 16 gauge. Look at that. Beautiful. Next test. We got some very rough cut 10 gauge. All right. We bet the 10 gauge. So it seems like this thing works pretty good. I've got a project coming up where I'm gonna have to bend a whole lot of sheet metal, so this thing's really gonna come in handy. If you like what you saw here, maybe give me a subscribe, and thanks for watching.
Babe, what did you do to the cookie?